Well, we are back for some Bleach Soul Resonance, and we are finally here, man. We are finally here, level 65. And if you're wondering why level 65 is any sort of, big celebratory moment for your account, it is because it is the last bit of story-based content that we currently have available in the game, which means that for all intents and purposes, level 65 is sort of the quote-unquote end of your account leveling experience, at least for now. This is mostly in reference to, again, story beats. I'm also going to say that you can get to level 90 with your characters, which is a pretty big one, though level 100 is obviously the absolute cap. I still haven't committed to who that will be, but we will be going over some characters that I do have and talking about who might that be. And this is just going to be a video that sort of functions as an account overview, because we have a lot to talk about when it comes to that. As we go to battle, you can see that I've cleared away some of my stone missions, because you get a bunch of stones for actually, participating in the first clears of these missions. And as far as stones goes, we can see that I've done all of the content up until now concerning Aizen's event, though we will be getting another week of Jade and contents, which means, weirdly enough, even though I did not expect to be doing this, I think I will be able to pull for Gin. Because if I get back to 19,000, that's what I started at with Aizen, and that's what I pulled with him at. And it's not like I didn't get like super lucky on Aizen's banner, I don't think. I remember I pulled Toshiro in 30, and I think I pulled Aizen like 60. That's not like crazy luck, you know what I mean? That's the sort of luck that, like, you're like, oh, you got lucky, but 20 off of pity is not some absurd rate, right? So as of this time, we can see that I'm slowly inching towards various completions. I have 33 of the regular Gacha tickets, which are going to stay the same. I don't know if you didn't watch my video before. I made a video just saying that once you have one of each, I don't think for going for any dupes at all is recommended. This video is just going to sort of work as like a general tips and guide, because there are a lot of things I've now, experienced in the game. We've had 5 weeks. 5 weeks is about the time it's going to take, by the way, to actually get your account to level 65 if you aren't refreshing with Jade, which I have not been doing. You can see, and actually we can go into here. 6 of 6. We do not refresh with Jade in this house. We do not refresh with Jade in this house. We use the nourishers. We do other things. We close the game when we're out of stamina. And now that they've added an extra week to each banner, you are way more incentivized to not refresh with Jade, because what the hell are you trying to rush anyway, right? But I'll also say is that if you didn't watch my video from the previous summon rates thing, I said that this will probably get updated at some point. And once you have one of each of the starting 6 characters, I really just don't know why you'd try to pull for dupes. It's essentially a nothing. The only thing you could get, I guess, is just like flashier power. You can see that my Yoruichi during the 200, opening launch week / month, banner, I actually pulled a dupe of her, which is, certainly something. I didn't want a dupe. I wanted Ikaku at the time, but it is what it is. As for my characters, we can go through them a bit and talk about some of the expected gears, some of the expected pulls. Core stamps have been by far the biggest limiting factor in this game. I think most people feel that, though. I don't really have to rant about core stamps. You understand what the issues are with core stamps. It's not, that hard to understand, right? But the gear system, as far as the gear system, I still do need quite a bit more, and this is where most of your stamina is going to end up going. Another big sink is just going to be your con amount. So as we go here, we go to enhance. This number is always going down. Thankfully, you do get quite a bit of it. You get almost, I want to say 500, 600,000 for a nourisher, but that number is off. There is a set number you could go, look for. You get 45,000 from the actual event. Do it 8 times. It's just math at that point, right? So there is an exact number, but it feels like every time I do that, I get about 500,000 or so. Aizen, who is now at 27,000, which is pretty respectable for a free-to-play character. I said that try not to obsess over this number here, this power number. Look at your stats, think about what your characters are actually doing, and judge them that way, right? Don't worry about like, oh, you know, they're not like 64,000 like someone's, you know, boundary 6, stamp 6, weapon 6 Aizen. It's like, well, yeah. I think about 30,000 looks like a reasonable place to be with weapon, as well as, as well as a list of stamps, especially if you were to push one to 30 like I have here. This is probably my single best piece of gear so far. 30% crit damage with ultimate charge rate, crit rate pump, and 32% crit rate. So an overall like 40% crit rate piece right here by itself is really, really good. You can see that I have another one here that looks pretty good. I would even maybe consider 6-starring this one. I do think it is worth it, but because this is such a limited piece of currency, I try not to dip into that as much as I can. And he might ding 30,000 by the time we're done raising this piece to 25. Probably 29,000. 29,000 is probably where our Aizen will sit until we at least get his core stamp, which will bump him up quite a bit more. Toshido, again, another character you just have to like look at his stats, because I do not have his weapon stamp, nor do I have his core stamp, so he is quite a bit lower just cosmetically. Whereas, you know, you see a character like my Kisuke here, who has, you know, a duped core stamp, his weapon stamp, and by comparison though, you know, he's running a bunch of like gear that's like just okay, right? I mean, it's pretty good, but nothing crazy either. He'll probably be at 30,000 next time we actually ascend him, which is pretty cool. Again, if you don't have a bunch of dupes, if you don't have 25 to 30,000 is where you're going to sit, versus like my Yoruichi, who again has this like monstrous Ascension 5 core stamp just from pure RNG, right? So she looks a lot better for that, but it really does not actually matter. She does what she does regardless. We do need to raise her stamps again, but this piece does not seem worth it. So as we sort of just continue to go down, like those are essentially the like primary characters that I would call value on my account. Any other big things I want to say? Here we can talk about Frenzy Feast, actually, where I am number 50 right now in the 50 to 64 race. I do not know why I'm not being considered for the 65. It's probably because this has to end. Like this week, I'm just scored in the 50 to 64, and it's probably where a lot of other people are. They like the week started and then they got more levels, right? So I guess there's that. But as you can see here, top 22% in this one, but I'm top 58 in this one. And actually, prior to going to bed last night, I was actually top 21 and in terms of like overall score. So that was pretty cool. Haven't really ranked that highly yet. We can see that top 21 has now been replaced by a 56,000. So a pretty noticeable jump from my modest 50 here. But of course we are a completely free to play player, right? So it's one of those things where we'll take those, certainly, right? We don't have to, you know, you can pat yourself on the back when it comes up. So that is pretty cool, right? And we look here, yeah, we're competing with a bunch of people with ascensions, right? So I mean, look at that, right? Right below us, yes, a little bit of ascensions here and there. Right above us, some ascensions here, 4 on this guy, you know, 3 on this guy. So yeah, it's all to say that we're in good company, certainly, right? We're in pretty good company. So I'm not gonna feel too bad about that. I will say that the last little wall in my way still continues to be this Slash mission, because I just do not want to raise Ichigo anymore until we get an actual Slash character. One thing we could be doing, and Giku brought this up when he was talking about the banner extension, is that they could start running reruns during the banners, which I think that would be really, really, really cool. So say for instance in, you know, during Gin's section, they also want to sideways run a Bankai Ichigo, you know, since he was the character that they started the game with. That would be kind of sick, right? That'd be kind of sick. Maybe that would fit in the actual, like, spot, because I don't think they're going to actually end up doing the thing that I talked about, which is you run a character for 2 weeks. During the 3rd week, you release the other character, but you still keep the previous character's banner running for 2 weeks, which I think would be really good. Or for not for 2 weeks, but for like the last remaining week, which I think would be really good. But yeah, as far as content goes, the game has just impressed so much. The game has been endlessly impressive. These events have been very fun. They've been puzzles, they've been story, they've been, you know, cutscenes and animations and voice acting. Like, they've really pumped it up, and we can see that even though we're sort of moving out of, you can see people really scaling up here. Apparently I'm still top 5% in this one, which is very impressive to me as a free-to-play player. I mean, look at the people who are probably running this otherwise, right? It's just like, because I imagine that, like, yeah, there is like a bunch of team trials, but I do also imagine that the trial characters start phasing out a bit, and people just start running their own characters. Like, this is a Yurihara, this is clearly not the trial one, so very interesting. But yeah, I think this is like a really cool event. They were smartly able to mesh the actual like leaderboards, or the like free-to-play perspective, which is just like, so we have a level 100 and then bunch of level 100 here, right? So Chihiro here, who is a whale and top scores on like everything, not only do they have like the trial characters, but they have like their own, you know, whale characters, which makes a lot of sense, right? So someone who is trying to play the game and might not have the ability to, you know, splurge on the game is still able to play, even though the whales still get to feel like rewarded by having leaderboards and all these different things, right? So that is really cool. As for character power, you know, free-to-play account, top 74 Yoruichi. Anyone else here I think I could possibly be scored with? Yurihara is probably, yeah, top 17%, so nothing really there. I'd imagine that Yoruichi is going to be my standout for essentially my account's lifespan, because she just kept hitting core stamp, right? That is her big thing. But yeah, I would say that if you are a free-to-play player, if you've been playing every day, if you've been spending your stamina, if you've been, you know, not refreshing with Jade and you've just been using the nourishers they gave us, this is about where you should expect your account to be. And I think it's a pretty good spot, right? 5 months to reach what is essentially, you know, quote unquote top level. Not 5 months, 5 weeks. Did I say 5 weeks or 5 months? 5 weeks to reach what is essentially quote unquote top level, meaning that I am now able to access the various parts of the game. My grinds, for example, are now where I want them to be. So if I go in here, you know, this is all completely done. But my like stamp grinding, my actual like stamp grinding is now officially where it wants to be, right? So we are now farming in the same space as these, you know, top rank accounts, right? So that is great. That is great. 5 weeks is not so bad. A nice little quote unquote honeymoon period, I'd say, for Bleach Soul Resonance. And yeah, I guess I don't really even have much more to say, man. It's just been a very fun ride. I hope you guys have been enjoying it as well. I hope you've been not burning yourself out. There's not too much to really burn yourself out on in Bleach Soul Resonance. I mean, thankfully, I know this is a weird thing to say, thankfully stamina kind of does just like, you know, put a wall in front of you just to say like, hey, you know, take it easy. And while that can feel kind of frustrating in the early game, now that we're sort of in a space where we're getting content, we're getting characters, we now have the 3-week cycle, we're getting big time events, because usually games open with like a big time event, Toshido or Ichigo's, but instead what they did is they sort of let the game speak for itself for Toshido and Ichigo's banner, and now we're getting Mirror of the Illusory Bloom, now we're getting, you know, Bingo Scratch Off, which is giving a bunch of materials, and Jade, we're getting, you know, double stamps, we're getting this Snowball Assault, which I still need to finish up, we're getting the Culinary Whimsies event, which is its own like little thing, kind of like the Drink Maker in Honkai Star Rail, and all of this is just like a fun little bonus on top of the actual like big sprawling event that you can challenge and attempt to place in versus, you know, it's impressive. It's been very well weighed, it's been very well strategized, I think, from Bleach Soul Resonance team. I continue to be impressed. I think they're doing a great job. Crunchyroll does not seem to at all be getting in the way as well if you're on the global side. I know there's a bunch of dooming at the start of the game, but thankfully there does not seem to be an issue concerning Crunchyroll. I think we're all just kind of good. Are we not? Are we not? Are we not all just kind of good? I think we are. So yeah, Bleach Soul Resonance, level 65. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to join the club. We all gonna make it, and peace.